and never let go of that series from that moment onwards. And that really is Dark as a player. Solar, I think he's definitely someone who can go toe-to-toe strategy-wise, build order-wise with Dark. Mechanically, definitely rather evenly matched. It's just a matter of can Solar actually maintain that consistency throughout the series. I think if he gives Dark a bit of an opening here, Dark can build up momentum and run away with it very fast.
I completely agree with you. It's a very Korean player thing, but certainly like exacerbated for Dark, where you're kind of a shark basically. You smell blood, you go in as that moment of weakness, and you finish them off.
It's a great way to play as well. I mean, it's so good in these big tournament settings. Every player gets a little bit of nerves at least, right?
Absolutely. So Solar on camera actually having a sip of water during the early stages of the game, where he doesn't really need to do too much. It is just a regular fast expansion into gas pool from both players. Korean Zergs sometimes like to get a pretty quick third, 2.5 minutes, and then the Baneling and the natural, Baneling Nest and the natural for just playing the most stock standard ZVZ opener. That's it actually looks like both players is kind of opening that, what I like to call like the gentleman agreement ZVZ opener.
Yeah, Ling speed starting up for both of them. Neither pulling off gas just yet, so that does tell us it's quite a standard opening. Now, Ling Bane, of course, very good here. Large.
He's coming through the main base first, and it is going to be a little bit difficult to get rid of that Overseer with just the Queens, even though it doesn't have speed. The Overseer is actually not parking through that natural. Doesn't want to lose it. Flying to the north side here of that main base. Pretty important, obviously, for Solar to get the information of that Spire, because the Mutas can just surprise you and kill you, even at this level of StarCraft 2.
I think at this point, really, you should be having some inkling that something is not quite right here.
Not seen any roaches. He's not seen, he sees a lot of Lings as well.
Yeah, lots of Ling Bane out front, and that's not normal. The Spy is now finishing up. We're going to see about 10 Mutalisks starting up immediately for Dark. And Hydroden does go down now for Solar, who's paused his upgrades for quite a while. He's got 2 Evolution Chambers, but he's forgot his +2 range attack. I think Solar really needs to get it moving on these upgrades, needs to get creep out towards this 4th base. And we are going to see Muta, Zergling, Baneling, a fast, hard-hitting mobile composition, but it doesn't have a lot of hit points. It's very fragile. It can't stand its ground in a pitched battle. So Dark's going to be looking to harass, run in from multiple angles. Meanwhile, Solar, he's just got to lock things down defensively. He's got to hang on.
Yeah, it looks like Solar's just going to chill at home for a bit here, because as Ozzy drops all that tech, he's getting Hydras with Groove Spines. It's very defensive. He's getting an Infestation Pit as well to be able to deal with the Mutas just in case they get out of hand. Lots of ways to deal with them in the Infestation Pit. We get that too much as we see the Mutas flocking through the middle here, getting that Overseer. The Lings also sort of posturing on the outside of that 4th base of Solar, potentially for a run-by.
Massive economy style here for Dark, already moving out to take a 5th base and up at 78 workers. The Muta count continuing to grow, +2 melee getting started without delay. A very important upgrade. It allows your Banelings to one-shot enemy workers. So once that kicks in, Dark's run-bys are going to get even more dangerous. The Muta's still veering around. For now, though, Solar, he's working his way up that tech tree. Will we see Lurkers? Will we see Vipers? Just Roach Hydra alone is not that great, and Solar has not been upgrading. And yet he's droning. I'm a little bit confused where Solar's going with his tech path. Has he just forgotten about the upgrades?
I think you might be right, Pig. +2 is so incredibly important. There can't really be a reason not to get it. He is spending some of his gas here on Infestors and whatnot, but still has a bit of a gas bank. So certainly after a bit of a round of minerals, he can afford +2. Infestors, absolutely pretty important here. They're one of the ways of dealing with Mutalisks, with Infestation Pit. We also have Hydras here. And you were talking about +2 being fantastic at one-shotting workers. +2 on those Banelings also helps you a ton against a big ball of Hydras when you're the Mutaling Bane player. And Hydras are one of the threats to your army.
Indeed. We are seeing a Hive now starting up for Solar. Still no carapace upgrades to diminish the Zergling attack. Still no range attack upgrades on the way. A big misstep here from Solar, but other than that, his tech is well set up. His defense is there. Banelings coming in on the top side and the left side at the same time. Both mineral lines getting hit. A quick pull, and the drones are defended. Roaches in position on the left and the right. Great defense by Solar so far.
And he's sending in more Banelings. The Muta's coming along for the assist this time, so going to pick off a few of these units. The drones do get pulled one more time. 4 drones go down, but that was pretty expensive for Dark to use a lot of Banelings there.
I wouldn't mind more Spore Crawlers coming down right now here for Solar. He's got to worry about these Mutas opening up avenues for the Banelings to hit the mineral lines. It is non-stop aggression from the world champion. Dark here on 5 bases. His Infestation Pet's down. He's heading towards Hive Tech. Behind this, he's got to get in there and do more damage. Solar's army is higher tech than his, and it will counter him in the long run.
Certainly will. Lurker's extremely scary. Nice fungal there on the Banelings. Splits his units pretty well, but these Banelings find an opening. 8 drones going down to the 4th base. Mutas on the right side, fighting a cluster of Hydras undefended. Picking off the Queens as well. Action all over the place. 14 drones in the end going down, knocking Solar down to 54 workers against the monstrous 77 drone economy of Dark.
He needs more Spore Crawlers. There's a reason I was pointing that out. That muta count is so scary. If you don't have those Spore Crawlers, the mutas are going to find openings. And right now, one Viper on the way, still no upgrades, no Carapace or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, if Solar can stabilize and hang on, he's still got a good worker count. He's still got the better army in the long term, but he's got to defend that economy.
Baneling's rolling in again. Lurkers and Roaches ready for them, though. They might get a couple workers. Yes, they do. They actually get 7. It's more than I thought, honestly. I thought maybe 3 or 4. Mutas in the main base as well. Solar only with 1 Spore Crawler up here. That's the Hive as well. Very, very important. Viper's another thing that you want from that Hive to be able to deal with Mutalisks.
Oh man, I mean, Solar's got a big ground army right now. He's building tons of Hydras. I think he's going to have to go and do a counter push with this. The fact that he's committing alter units, he's not rebuilding spores, he's not rebuilding his worker count either. This tells me Solar just wants to have a mobile army, and he's going to try and counter push across this map, I believe.
I mean, he does. You're absolutely right, Pig. He has Hive. He's getting that Lurker range upgrade, and that means that these Lurkers with the Roaches and Hydras are just going to be the better army. Dark's going to make sure, though, that if that happens, Solar's not going to have a home to go back to as he keeps hitting that economy pretty hard. These hatcheries are also super, super low and super, super damaged. This is a wild and action-packed ZVZ game 1. That's for damn sure.
Oh, he snipes the only Lurker on this side. Tons of Banelings are coming in behind it, and he's going to hit the left-hand side at the same time.
He also picked up the Lurker over here. Don't forget, with the Mutalisk earlier. Hatchery quite low. Banelings looking for the drones.
Banelings running in from both sides. The hatchery goes down on the 4th base. Banelings veering in towards the 3rd. They are going to find the drones, and another 11 workers go down. Solar, he's going to have to pull the trigger soon. He's rebuilding workers. I feel like he has to go all in. He is giving too much time for Dark right now. His economy getting boozed and bratted, and he's just not replacing the Spore Crawlers. Hydras are not going to cut it here. You need to actually go across the map if you're committing this much to army and so little to static defense and economy.
And Dark is getting the response here. It's been brought out since that famous Reyna Serral game. We know that this tech actually can get the job done. Ultralisks have been made here, or rather on the way here for Dark as he starts chitinous planing the second the cavern finishes.
Can we take a glance at the wall of Dark quickly on his natural? Just for a moment, yeah, Ultras, I think, won't fit out of that wall. So we'll take a look back at this later when Ultras are coming out. But for now, Banelings coming in on this base. The Lurker doing what it can, but Banelings still find the hatchery and connect. 8 workers falling as well.
Now, Dark is throwing a lot of units away here, Pig. He's obviously been maxed, so he needs to throw away a bit of supply to be able to get the big heavy hitting units. You know, those Ultras are in production now. Dark remaxing again. I am still a little bit worried. I know it's weird to say that he's worried because he seems so far ahead, but I'm a little worried for Dark if Solar's army does go across the map.
Yeah. Of course, we'll see if the Ultras can squeeze out of that wall or not. That was one of the big mistakes that Serral made against Raynor in that semi-final at BlizzCon. It was 5 Ultralisks trapped behind his wall for most of the game. Part of why he wasn't able to take good fights. The Muta's coming in, they find the Lurker again, and this is just too expensive. This defense for Solar is not quite right. But the thing is, you know what? He has a massive 143 supply army. Unfortunately, only 1 upgrade, just +1 range, nothing else. Ooh, parasitic bombs land on the Mutas, but a quick split there. It's not in the middle of the fight, and the Zerglings! Oh no!
+2 Zerglings just flooding into that natural and third, but Solar doesn't have time to deal with it. He's got an attack to win. He comes forward there. One of the Ultras goes down. Big fungals on the front line there of Dark's defensive forces as Solar continues to barrel through. Dark bringing back what he has to try and assist in the air.
All right, I mean, this is crazy. This is a bit of a base race right now. Zerglings so good at taking out buildings. Solar leaving his front door open. He's going to try and push through into the heart of Dark's production.
Big Viper pickoffs there. Of course, there's some high energy Vipers, full energy Vipers, in fact, on the front line here for Solar. In comes those Mutalisks. Dark's army is very light. It's very, very easy to die very quickly here to the heavy hitting army of Solar with the Lurkers, the Roaches, and the Hydras. But with these Ultras, if he gets enough of them up, he can take a fight for sure, especially with these upgrades in chitinous.
He's got nothing left at home. It's just this army. Solar has to win with that one army on the front. He's going over to the 5th base as well, trying to wipe out that one. But at home, he is at risk of elimination, and it is a paltry force, Maynard. That's about 12 Roaches, a few Hydras. Not going to cut it. And Dark just overruns Solar's defenses.
A really exciting.
And a map with very kind of spread out bases, these weird winding paths around the map. I can't say I've seen a lot of Zerg vs. Zerg on this map, and that which I have seen, definitely no late game. I haven't really seen, even as late as what we saw in the last map, I've seen some aggressive pushes, some Ling Bane charges, some Roach Bane attacks, not much else than that.
Yeah, unfortunately I don't see it a whole lot either. I mainly cast Pro Tour and the Lima League, and this map is not really in the Lima League. It's vetoed quite a bit in the Pro Tour, so you don't see it a ton.
Yeah, it has been the #1 vetoed map. Been enjoying players like SOS and Patience and the kind of crazy wilder players letting it in a little bit more into those series. Does create some very interesting games as you know, these paths across the map create all sorts of different advantageous choke points, areas to engage. And for now, both players starting up those queens. I think definitely where you're going to take your 4th and 5th is a big choice on this map. You can expand, of course, down the edges of the map, but it's going to be more likely to go kind of down to the left here and then up above that, which there is a base just tucked right below your main. Very far to get there by ground, but also very, very hard for your opponent to assault.
You're not wrong. We're going to see those third bases taken from both players, 2.5 minutes. And once again, just the exact same opening as the first game. We really don't know what path they're going to go down with this build order until we see Evo chamber timings, lair timings, gas timings, that sort of thing. And at the moment, very stock standard.
Yeah, hitting the drones really hard. I think for Solar right now, the battle is to just kind of hang on, keep your mentality smooth and calm. Follow your build orders and just kind of stick with it. Don't get thrown off by that rough game one. And does spot the Baneling Nest, of course, walling off the front for both players. Very typical here on Zen.
Indeed. I wonder, this map actually does seem like one of those maps that is quite a bit better for that style that Dark played on Triton. You know, I mean, you can't really Baneling run by into the natural as well, but the 3rd and 4th are certainly hard to, certainly easy to get exposed because you can't wall off ramps anymore as you get further and further out on that map. And the middle of the map can be such a DMZ for Roach battles because of those little choke points between the minerals and the high ground brush.
Yeah, it gets very, very weird, pushing back and forth with Roach Ravager. Corrosive Biles landing everywhere. And once again, quicker Evolution Chamber here for Solar. So definitely going to be gearing up to go up those upgrades. +1 range immediately. Same matchup of opening there. No
Yeah, almost the exact same build from Solar so far.
Yeah, if we see a lair start up momentarily, it'll look pretty similar for Dark as well. And it does. All right, we may see a complete repeat, and that'd be really cool because I'd love to see those adjustments. You know, I think the Ling Bane Muta style, when it works perfectly the way it's meant to, like in that last game, it almost looks like an easy way to win. If you get up to like 70, 80 workers and you just get to roll Banelings in from 2 sides, your Mutas bounce around. Don't get me wrong, maybe for, you know, average Joe ladder player at home, it's not easy. But for a player of Dark's caliber, there's nothing pressuring you on your side of the map. Your macro is easy as pie. And you get to choose where the fights happen, when the fights happen. Your Mutas distract in one area, the Banelings roll in another. Your Banelings roll into one base, your Lings run into another base. It really is just constant 1-2 punches, sometimes attacking 3 places at once. So I want to see how Solar adapts and blocks that. And I definitely think, in this case, there is one way to do that, Maynard, and it's don't let it get that far.
That's right. Just send a dozen roaches down the throat of your enemy and kill them, seems to be the idea here from Solar. We've seen it work before, and this time as Dark isn't shooting up the tech tree and trying to fake a Roach Warren. This is a real one. He's getting roaches, getting +1 attack as well. We've got a Ling Bane scuffle here at the front with Solar and Dark trying to trade as well as possible. So with a few more Lings left over, still kind of pressuring on the outside with the Overlord of Dark seeing it all.
Yeah, the roaches are being seen at this point, so no more drones will be coming down for Dark. He's got to react with tons of roaches. He doesn't have a lot of supply free right now. Dark,
he's droned too much.
He really needs to respect this. He does not have a lot of units out. That's a big attack. It's going to be a very close fight. That's a ton of Banelings, Maynard.
Certainly is. He's got some Queens on that front line that can tank those Banes pretty nicely, but those are a lot of roaches with that attack upgrade. In comes Dark's army, in comes Solar's army. The Banelings getting picked up very nicely though, but the Banelings to the south looking for that cluster of drones.
Banelings are going to find the workers there. And more Zerglings rallying in behind this, of course. More and more Roaches coming in, not looking to give Dark any time. You can also see those Ravager morphs healing those Roaches back to full hit points, getting on top of this defense just before it can get together. 13 Roaches are about to pop out.
GG.
Get there in time.
What a timing from Solar. Sneaking a map off of Dark there. Like I said, this kid is a monster in this matchup. And it is such a tough build to deal with, especially when you don't see it. More, it's going to be this very event this time next year. the Intel Extreme Masters in Katowice is where it's all going to go down. So he'll be the world champ for an extra 3 or 4 months.
And that's such exciting news. This tournament here, such a long format. It's stretched out for such an amount of time that it gives the players so many chances to really prove their mettle. Even though he had an unfortunate performance in the last match, I think Hurricane's story making it this far, a testament to that. So close to elimination in the open qualifiers, in the group stage multiple times, and he clawed his way through to the top 12. And these are the sort of things where, you know, you only get a chance to make those sort of comebacks here at Katowice when we have 6-7 days of non-stop StarCraft games, where we have round-robin formats, where we have you playing not just 1 or 2 opponents and getting eliminated from a bad draw, but really getting a chance to prove your mettle.
And meanwhile, while you're doing that, accumulating points for the league as well. A lot of events coming up this year, of course, awarding points globally and locally. Good stuff. Very excited for the rest of 2020. And this event's been a pretty great way to state it. It's for damn sure.
All right, we're going into Nightshade. So this is a map with both one of the shortest rush distances in the pool, but also, more importantly, a very spread out area to the third. So if we pan down, actually, we could take a look and just see how big and wide open this whole area is, and that third base very spread apart. Because of this, there's multiple attack avenues. There's a lot of areas where Zerglings can run past your Banelings, where enemy Banelings can sneak in from a surprising angle into your mineral line, and that is why this is a map we've somewhat consistently seen Zerg players be a bit more aggressive on. Much more likely to see someone like Dark just kind of hold down the Zergling key, build 15 or 20 Zerglings, and just put a bunch of pressure on the opponent from the start of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Zerg always is going to be enjoying all that free space to work with, those run-by potentials, those surrounds. It's kind of where Zerg flourishes.
And it has, of course, been the more aggressive maps 2 in a row, Zen then Nightshade. So if it does go later, no doubt we've got those maps like Eternal Empire and that sort of stuff coming in a bit later, where we are more likely to see more of that map 1 sort of dynamic. But for now, both players continuing to drone up. Minimal number of Zerglings on both sides.
Yeah, so no big early Ling Bane attack from either player here, just for safety. That's what these Lings have been made for.
Quick third Queen on either side as well. No doubt they'll be connecting the creep to the third base and just using a few defensive Banelings to stay safe. Solo's going to be the first one to build a few more Zerglings, but just 8. At most a poking and prodding force, and really, both players just very comfortable to push that economy. Dark, holding down the drone button like crazy.
I was going to say, these eight Lings doesn't seem like much. Like Pick mentioned, it's a poke. It's not really an army that you can do a whole lot with in this game, but Dark is taking a nice drone lead as a result. All of his lava has been going into drones except for these first 4 Lings.
Zergling does get in here for Solar. Does a little bit of a rotation and says, oh my, you've got a lot of workers and not much else. Evolution Chamber, of course, has now gone down at the front here for Dark. And plus,
Lings are freaking out, man.
Just having a party, man. So that's the Zerg treadmill part of the base. Did they?
They killed the creep shimmer.
Might have been blocking the ideal wall off or something like that.
Yeah, potentially. And both players getting +1 at around the same time here. +1 ranged, of course, is what we're talking about. And Solar has the earlier Roach Warren Dark with the quicker Lair, though. Very similar builds from both players. The Lair, of course, a fair big difference. And Solar squeezing out that extra big round of drones to try and catch up with Dark or even overtake Dark's drone count.
Yeah, both very economic. I expect to see a Lair start up in a second as 100 gas just got hit there. Solar, of course, a little bit slower on the initial gas mining, now starts the Lair up. So faster roach speed will go to Dark, faster upgrades to Solar, who is going to want to start +2 range the moment that +1 finishes. We do not want to see forgotten upgrades like in map number 1. Of course, I mean, you could argue that it's not too important to start those and it's more important to get tech units to defend, say, Muta Zergling. But as he continues in this game, I think he's going to get more and more information that points towards, hey, wait a second, kind of late gases on the natural, Roach Warren and Evo Chamber wobbling. This all points towards Roach versus Roach on this map.
Solar's droning like crazy over here. I think he has one of those drinking birds hitting the D key on his keyboard. It is so much economic focus actually from both players, but with Solar, of course, that little bit of an edge. And now he's getting Overlord speed as well, so just playing ultra safe. really just sort of sitting back and waiting to see what Dark shows as his hand.
And Dark queues up another 9 workers as well. So both players here very happy to just embrace the economic side of Zerg versus Zerg.
Greed is good.
Second evolution chamber for both of them. And that, of course, does gear you up for a big 2-1, +2 range, +1 carapace, potential timing attack. 4th base on the way for both players as well. It's going to be a big Roach versus Roach battle. Now, this is going to center around, of course, Roaches and Ravagers trying to take better fights, but there's also a lot of backstab, splitting workers off. One of the best trades you can get in terms of damage output for the amount of value you get is always going for workers. Workers, the most fragile and expensive piece of any person's setup on their side of the map. So just even 3 or 4 Roaches running into a mineral line, a few Zerglings running into a mineral line, even though the big fight looks like it's the focus, it's often these small little backstabs that actually build the advantages.
So Sola's going to go for an Overlord drop with Banelings here, as his Overlord hasn't been turned into a Drop-a-Lord just yet, but it is in position. It's looking suspiciously like that is the play here. And both players have managed to get their drone counts back up to around 70, and now they've been bagging big swells of units. Roaches and Ravagers here for Dark, patrolling the outskirts of his infrastructure. Solar, same deal, morphing some of those Ravagers at that 4th base. And there is that Drop-a-Lord on the way here to grab that drone line and get rid of the Baneling nest.
Just wants to open up the ability to move around his bases, which is kind of cute. Baneling drop is coming in here. Dark, he's had vision of it, but I don't know if he's noticed it. Right now, it looks like he's distracted in the middle of the map, and Baneling's going to come in a big way.
Big moves there from Solar. 4 Banelings, very inexpensive compared to 11 drones. Great edge there for Solar. Great damage for the Red Zerg in the bottom right. And he is just using an extra bit of supply to squeeze out a lot more Roaches. Dark is further along in that +2 attack upgrade, and he might try and even the field, but it is so hard to attack in a Solar here.
Those Zerglings on the top side as well, just biding their time, waiting until there's an opening. It's just one more thing Dark has to worry about in this game. Likewise, that Drop-a-Lord on the left side. I'd love to see more Roach drops or Baneling drops queued up there. And we'll have to keep our eyes on it. Looks like Dark's going to move across this map. His +2, +1 carapace, both a bit faster. He's going to choose to take the timing attack. He is ahead on those upgrades. They're going to kick in just a moment.
Yeah, this is really, really important here. Carapace in a couple seconds, +2 attack a little bit further along. He's actually getting a lot of pain off of this building right here. That's getting quite low, Pig. Dropping some biles as well to zone back Solar's army, and that hatchery is killed. Nice move from Dark. He does end up evening it up.
Yeah, taking advantage of that beautiful upgrade window where he was ahead there. The Roaches and Ravagers of Solar are going to jump forward. They should be able to take a fight here.
Yeah, the biles need to be respected. Looks like one Ravager maybe getting caught in the end there. Dark is up mining a base. He's down a bit in workers, but up a base. Oh, Dark's Ravagers on the right side. A couple of them go down to the Roach numbers here of Solar. Both players are about to have equal upgrades, but at the moment, Dark still with an upgrade lead.
Yeah, looking for the sandwich there is Dark. Solar not wanting to get caught out there. The Banelings are going to try and find the worker line, but only one Baneling survives. Not enough to take out the drones. And there we go. We see Dark with a very slight army advantage right now. Of course, still only on 61 workers. Hasn't rebuilt any of them. Doesn't feel any need to. Remember, he took out Solar's 4th base. So even though Solar's got more workers, he's only mining a little bit more money at the moment.
And with both players maxed out, that means that Dark has the bigger army. So similar upgrades, but a lot more Roaches and Ravagers here for Dark. He is still poking on the outside. Looks like a few biles going down the Overlords of Solar as well. Oh, he's trying to push this fight into it. He's trying to make Solar commit into an engagement with him having that concave advantage, but Solar won't give him that engagement that he wants.
Yeah, and a lot of Dark's army is very bruised right now. He can't afford to take even one more big wave of biles. He does have a better concave there. At the same time, a lovely little Baneling drop is going to come into that natural, but not being microed too well, only going to take out 3 workers. Dark just pressing the multitasking Solar. Solar struggling under pressure.
Dark's still got a pretty big army here, but a lot of it's in production. It's not here right now. 22 Roaches in those lavas about to hatch to be on that front line. I like this from Dark, though. Switching gears and dropping a Spire behind all of this, but Solar already seems to be ahead of that. He's got a Hydroden on the way and a Hive, both of which, when utilized, really shut down the Spire.
Yeah, right now there's no real bank for either player. So it's very scary to swap into anything else. You want to get some money.
Exactly the same. It's a couple hundred.
Oh my lord.
The numbers there, so similar.
That is actually obscene. These players so evenly matched right now. Remember, Dark still trailing in the workers, and that new 4th base is up and mining on the bottom side of the map. So Solar He's also going to find room to start +3 range, +2 carapace. The Hydra upgrades on the way. Solar here is banking on the long game. But right now, Dark is the one with the momentum. He's in the driver's seat, and he's the one bullying Solar around this map. Solar has got nothing pressuring Dark. One mistake from Solar here, and Dark is going to finish him.
Dark consistently keeps finding this concave here. And Solar, even though he's got a great big ball of units that are mostly firing, most of Dark's units are getting better fights. Eats a couple biles there on that front line, and of course, the longer this game goes, feels like the better it's going to go for Solar because of that tech advantage, because of that drone advantage. He continues to amass a bit more resources here. And I like the tech shift. Lurker Dens, of course, something that Dark really can't deal with without Mutalisks.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, those mutas are going to be terrible once +2, +3 kicks in. 3-2 Hydras do not care about mutas, but those upgrades aren't done just yet. There's only 3 Hydras out, 5 more on the way. So the mutas may have a small moment to do some damage here. I feel like it's too late, though. Solar really should be able to deal with that just fine.
And he's already got a Viper on the way here as well, which not only helps you with the ground battle, but of course when the mutas hit, one parasitic bomb, and that's going to upset your plans there with those mutas. You have to split them, you have to respect it. Hydra Den and Infestation Pit on the way here for Dark as well, so we can go to that tier 3 Lurker tech, but that's such a long way off here for the Blue Zerg, with Solar ahead in tech, and still managing to catch up in army supply as well during all of this.
He's trying to push forward his Solar. Wants to get Dark off this map. Those mutas, of course, starting to clear up the Overlords. That's going to push Solar's vision all the way back. I love the way Dark split the mutas up all over the place. He's still got the more aggressive mobile army. He doesn't have things like these slow lurkers slowing him down, these Hydras that don't quite have their upgrades. The problem for Dark is he has to find more damage than this. Just treading water in the middle of the map isn't enough. He's got to find position, and I think he has, Maynard.
Yeah, he's coming around, collapsing onto this 4th hatchery here, forcing Solar into a bit of a choke point. Oh my god, Solar eats so many biles as well.
Ooh, that was nasty. Other units on the right-hand side coming as well. The upgrades are there. +2 carapace is about to kick in. +3 range not far off as well. Dark once again finding an engagement on even upgrades just before everything turns around, and he pulls back at the second the upgrade advantage goes to Solar.
Picks off a hatchery there and then disengages Darks, making sure that Solar's economy takes that hit, keeping as many units alive as possible just so the threat of a counterattack is not as horrifying for him. Seismic Spines, though, finishing up. Now we've got that range upgrade for the Lurkers for Solar, and the Hive not even done here for Dark. Neither is the Lurker Den. So if Solar can squeeze in some Lurkers, which he's doing right now, Dark could potentially find himself taking an atrocious fight.
This army for Dark just looks small right now, and it's so low tech. It's nowhere near Solar's level in terms of upgrades. And Solar, he's got Lurkers, Roaches, Ravagers, Hydras.
And a Viper.
A single Viper as well. They're very useful. The Mute is trying to come in, but Parasitic Bomb and Hydras have something to say about that.
He eats a Parasitic Bomb right there, and those 4 Mutt-Mutts actually look like they're about to pop. We have an engagement here on the front lines. Solar sort of choked in, but he's got that splash damage. He's got those Lurkers as part of the army, breaking off a chunk of his army to the right side to slow down Dark. Meanwhile, he's on that hatchery, and it's going to go down.
Yeah, lots of workers falling. The 4th base falls. Dark knocked back down to 3 base here. Solar, he's almost retaking his 4th behind this. At the same time, these Roaches and Ravagers desperately fighting for time, trying to pull Solar away, and they are succeeding at that. Dark knows that his win condition right now is getting his own Lurkers out at home, and he is desperately scrambling to do it. I think if Solar pushed in then, he won the game. He could have base traded, he could have pushed across, but Dark is just running around circles, trying desperately to buy himself another minute in this game.
And he's getting Adaptive Talents. That's the burrow and unburrow speed upgrade for Lurkers, but I don't think he has the ranged upgrade just yet. That feels like it's a lot more important here. Yeah, he doesn't have it. That's usually what the Zergs go for immediately there when they get Hive in the Lurker Den. So Solar's going to have that range advantage when the battles kick in, and that's a massive, massive leg up for Solar.
Yeah, those Lurkers not having the same range is definitely going to be rough. Can get sieged by the Lurkers of Solar. Solar's got to be careful.
Ooh.
Lurkers left in the open. I think 2 of them did just get sniped. At least one did. One survives just barely. And Roaches backstabbing for Dark. Once again, movement is the key. It's all about mobility. He's had the worst army in a front-on fight the whole time, but he knows that, and so he refuses to fight Solar front-on. Instead, running around in circles, finding the economy, finding the soft underbelly of Solar.
This run by is so incredible for Dark. It's forced Solar to be extremely committed with his next attack. He doesn't have an economy. He doesn't have a home to come home to. The buildings have been mostly destroyed. The drones are mostly dead. Dark's economy, 47 drones, not amazing, but 25 way worse. And that means that Dark also can start to climb a little bit higher in that unit count as he spends that back coming in. Dark's actually trying to squeeze out some drones here, feeling like Solar actually can't commit at the moment. but I think Solar absolutely can.
It's hard to push Lurker through Lurker, though. Oh, big blinding clouds are going to try and make him do it. The Lurker's moving forward on both sides. This is a crazy engagement. Corrosive Biles from Dark, though, slaughter the front line of Solar's Lurkers.
They certainly do. The Roaches and Ravages of Solar looking pretty high in number down here in the south. He still has 4 Lurkers looking to unburrow and reburrow here. Lurker advantage for Dark on that high ground, trying to keep Solar at bay from getting in on top of the infrastructure. Dark also about to have his own Viper out to assist with the battles for Blinding Clouds and for Yoinks on the Lurkers. Another small run by of Roaches here from Dark just to make sure that Solar's not able to re-expand.
You can see the speed of Dark here as a player. It's one of his best attributes, his ability to multitask. It's what almost got him that BlizzCon finalist in 2016. It's what got him it last year. And here again in the chaos of this round of 12, we see Dark. He's running these Roaches around. He's defending at home. Now, don't get me wrong, he's been knocked back to 3 base. But the fact that he is making this so scrappy when his army is so much worse on paper than Solar's, it's really incredible play. And if he can actually get out a few Vipers, he might be able to start working his way back into the army game as well.
You're absolutely right. The Vipers are a massive comeback potential here for Dark, even though he is absolutely not as good as far as army composition is concerned. Solar has the upper leg in that regard, but at the moment, both players have kind of pulled back to their respective sides of the map. We're not seeing any more run-bys. We're not seeing any posturing from Solar. Dark trading quite a bit worse than Solar as the game starts to get towards the 17-minute mark.
Roach is hiding. I like that. Just getting ready for the backstabs later when your opponent's a little bit out on the map. And re-droning for Solar, very good. Going to give him a bit more flexibility in this game. He's got to rebuild some more hatcheries as well as this progresses. The players get so spread out here on Nightshade. A push forward coming. Vipers, Hydras are the key. And if you can abduct your opponent's Vipers into your Hydralisks and focus them down, that is just crushing. So whoever lands those could have a big win in this next engagement.
Oh, 2 Lurkers dying immediately there to the +3 attack from Solar. And keep in mind that he has had +3 attack as a big advantage for his army. So not only bigger, it hits harder than Dark's. 1 hatchery here, taking a bit of damage from that single Lurker of Dark. He also has, I think, a few more. Might be Overlords to the top right of the map. They're sort of waiting. Oh, catching Overseers is nice. Of course, it makes the Lurkers have a bit more efficacy. Yeah. Oh, nice run by again with these Roaches. Dark, these run-bys are keeping him in this game, Pig.
And he waited for that. It's not just chaotic, it's not random. He waited, hidden in the shadows until he saw Solar was out of position. And then another big punishing move, jumps forward, grabs a whole ton of those Lurkers. Solar's army keeps getting caught out here. And it really is just this weird situation where it's like Dark shouldn't be able to fight him, but he's constantly running up, punching Solar in the back of the head and running away before he can even turn around. It's got to be so frustrating to be Solar in this game.
That's how a lot of us won fights in primary school. It seems to be how Dark is going to be able to win this CVZ for game number 3. Try and take the lead in this series, but of course, the game is not over yet. Both players could easily win this one. One bad engagement and it's all over.
Nice Roach little backstab here from Solar, making sure that 4th base can't be retaken. Finally clearing out that hatchery as well. Solar's still here on multiple bases. He's retaking a 4th and he's got that 5th up on the north, but only 34 drones. The worker count keeps getting diminished, and I really do think that big loss of Lurkers actually started to turn things around because now Dark's army is smaller, it's not quite as strong, but the gap is closing.
Not wrong. Oh, these Lurkers getting a few shots off there on Solar's army, which does regenerate slowly over time. Still has that +3 attack advantage, though. Dark's never been able to afford it. He's going hand-to-mouth with all of his resources. Every single time he earns minerals and gas, it is going into remaking that army, as neither player really is maxed out. Solar, of course, a lot closer in that regard. So he has about 20 more army supply. Actually, about 16 more army supply at the moment. Those Roaches still looking for an angle, just making sure that this hatchery doesn't get down without a fight.
And continuing to scout to make sure that Dark has allocated resources to that defense. And he's going,
move from Dark, grabbing 2 Vipers there.
That was really nice. That takes away a lot of the utility of Solar's army here. Solar can still hold position momentarily. He's going to push forward on the left. A very ballsy push forward. He just has to hold position there. I don't think he can go any deeper. And does pull back for now. He's got to be careful. Solar, I mean, he's got some nice momentum. If Dark's not in position, it could be huge.
These Lurkers look like blinding cloud bait to me, Pig. I mean, the Viper energy, I can't really see it. It's kind of off stream at the moment. There it is. Okay, so 2 of those Vipers are full in energy.
Okay, gonna go just for a few abducts for the sure kills there. Not a bad move. And he's going to get more energy out of those Evo chambers. Nice corrosive piles taking out the Overseer. Solar back up on 50 workers behind this, trying to replenish those Vipers. He's got 3 out of 4th on the way. It's so important. That gas is everything. You can see both players' gas banks so low. Dark's almost empty the entire time here.
Yeah, it's just using those resources as effectively as he can. A little oversaturated on that hatchery there. It's so hard for Dark to actually find an expansion here, Pig. These drones are working as hard as they can, but where do you take your hatchery? Where is Solar not looking at the moment? I guess maybe the very, very top right, but that's so insanely hard to defend.
Yeah, maybe just down below, right kind of where Solar's army is hanging out right now. Could be the good position for Dark on the next base. Right now this game is slowed down a little bit as both players tread water. Light harassment from both sides. And we do see just a bit of lost mining time there, nothing too crazy. This single Roach scouts into the main. Will get cleaned up by that Queen. More Hydras now on the way. So, oh, that Viper count. Can we see the units tab briefly? That would be great. The Viper count is 5 versus 4. That's
pretty similar.
The most important thing, that and the lurker count, really. So 8 for Dark, 10 for Solar. Yeah, very similar. I mean, a couple more abducts like that, though, you can't replenish these Vipers, right?
Dark has a lot more Hydras. How do you feel that the Hydras actually, you know, obviously they pick off what you grab with the abducts of the Vipers, but does that feel like a little bit too many?
Yeah, it definitely does. Prefer more Roaches, a cheaper unit you can use to run by. But Hydras, they do a lot of damage. They oh, big abducts! Dark winning out on the abduct war again! I think he may have lost 1 Viper. Looks like he took out 3. And that's a huge win there for Dark. Solar has to be more careful. He's got to start sending changelings ahead. He's got to work the vision. He can't present his Vipers like that because Dark will take any gift you offer him.
Absolutely. His Viper control has been more superior to Solar so far. Trying to get a couple of unit pickoffs here as he retreats to the south side. While in comes a lot of lurkers of Solar on the right. Got to get out of there.
Almost wanted him to run on top of the Hydras and burrow a bit closer, but obviously a very risky maneuver. These 2 lurkers going to come in for the backstab. Roaches still posturing, ready to stab in themselves. I think for Solar here, he's got to realize he's losing these fights. And that means it's 10 times more important to replenish the Vipers. Right now, he's making more Hydras, more Lurkers. That's not what Solar needs to be spending his gas on. Just because the Vipers haven't worked out for you, that's not a reason to stop going them. You are going to go for the objectively worst composition if you don't build more Vipers. And right now, it seems like Solar's just a bit busy with this harassment. I think he's lost track of his Viper count. This is looking a little bit nasty.
Dark feels like he's playing so much like Rogue right now. Better spell late game control and also just constant lurker harassment as well. Such a Rogue play. We do have just a couple lings and a lurker here catching the Roaches of Solar, or more mainly being caught by the Roaches of Solar. Dark on that hatchery. It is very, very low. That's an easy pick off there for Dark. Solar's army out of position in the middle of the map.
It's all about the Viper control. Once again, only 3 Vipers have been replenished here for Solar. He's got to use them wisely. Losing the base, not the end of the world here. It's all about the armies. This is still a low economy game where the fight trumps everything else. One big battle will probably decide this game. If they end up in a pitched fight, max versus max, whoever wins that will take the game 100%.
Absolutely right. Solar still with the supply lead, but just doesn't seem to find positive engagements. I like the Nidus Worm. Dark does see it, so he pulls a lot of his forces back to deal with it, splits his forces off.
I don't think there's anything in that Nidus Worm, to be honest.
No. Well, okay, now there is a handful of Hydras.
Handful of Hydras, not too much, though. Definitely something which creates a lot more threat. I think Solar's doing a lot of nice moves in terms of tech, but he's not executing quite at that same level with those Vipers. If he can get these forward, that'd be great. The Overseer goes forward. He's looking for it. He's looking for the abducts. Is he going to go for it? And no, grabs a lurker. The Viper's getting traded on both sides. Both sides lose a couple of Vipers, but I think once again, Dark, I believe, positive trade by a single Viper.
Dark very, very light on the gas here, Pig, which gets me a little bit worried if he does take a bad fight. He's got a lot of minerals in the bank, not a ton you can do with that apart from making a lot of lings, which he is doing, by the way. Lings could go for run-bys, maybe do a backstab, pick off a base, a bunch of drones, something like that. That's the best you can hope for. They're not really useful in these fights. And without gas, Dark's not going to be able to do things like replenish his lurker count, replenish his Hydra count. He's making 2 more right now, but look at that, just 60 gas in the bank.
And these Roaches getting pushed back on the left-hand side at the same moment. These Lings actually could be a real spanner in the works here. Making their way down, though. They were spotted quite early. A few Roaches are in position.
And the Roaches have pretty sick upgrades as well. 3-2 Roaches against 0-2 Lings. Lurker's in range of some of the static defense here of Solar, and come the Vipers to grab those yoinks. Grabs the Vipers again. Dark picks off both of them.
Oh my lord, how does he always land these spells first?
He's just quicker on that trigger, mate.
He's... It's actually insane. Solar's got to be frustrated by this. This is not the way it's meant to go. These trades are meant to be way more even. 2 for 10? That's ridiculous. That's 1,600 gas. That's actually just a crazy difference in the gas lost.
I mean, it's been great trades for Dark, but Solar is making some great moves here. He just will not let Dark get that gas income that he desperately needs. Lurker's still pushing forward. Looks like he's going to lose one of them to the Biles. Just unburrows it in time.
Yeah, adaptive talent is so important for allowing those Lurkers to dodge. And here we go, Solar moving around this map. This is not an easy composition to control, by the way. Another great Ling run by here from Dark. Going to take out that bottom left base, take out quite a few workers as well. Solar, once again, just getting forced to react constantly to Dark's backstabs. And whilst he's doing a great job with it, it worries me because it adds pressure, it adds stress. And you've already got Dark, one of the most cool and composed players under pressure, against Solar, who is not quite as consistent in these high-pressure moments. And, oh man, one bad fight can turn things so quickly. We see the damage from that Lurker Splash. Those units getting caught on one of their own cocoons were unable to retreat there. And Solar, he's now, for the first time in a long time in this game, down in supply. Down in army, down in workers, and it looks like now down in bases as well.
Dark is playing a godlike CVZ right now, Pig. If he does face off against Serral further down the line, I would be extremely excited to see it happen, as it looks incredibly close in level here. He picks off that hatchery. This hatchery's died a bunch for Solar. The late game army control of Dark has been unmatched by Solar as he continues to get that big supply lead and hit towards maxed. I just did not think that Dark would get towards maxed here. He finally even has breathing room to start +3 attack, taking away the one advantage that Solar has had for the last 15 minutes.
I mean, Dark is just better than him with these Vipers, and he's more active with the backstabs at the same time. It's got to be so incredibly frustrating at this point. Solar realizes this is not working out. He's got to make a big play right now. He's going to push towards the natural expansion. Blinding Clouds not actually being that effective, but the abducts, very useful. Quick run back though. 3 of those Lurkers do still survive. Solar looks like he will be able to clear out the main base there of Dark.
Very quick moves there from Solar, and he needs to actually find a lot more critical damage than this. It's a great start to the counterattack, but Dark with a lot more hatcheries and a little bit more money in the back now. Solar completely broke on 0 minerals.
And there we go, Overseers, Lurkers, Hydras moving forwards. They're going to rotate around to this side now. He's going to just go for it. Oh
I don't know about this,
you madman.
He's a madman. Those Lurkers were out of range as well. Meanwhile, gets the pile there on one of Dark's. He's juicing up those Vipers, getting ready for this battle, with Solar not having any Vipers in the mix here on the front lines. Grabs another Lurker, picks it off. Another Hydra going to go down. Grabs a Lurker there on the front line. Solar just runs out of steam, and Dark, with a beautiful late game CVC, is...
Dark, just like a master. He flanked him with the Road Ravager, and he basically, they pulled out their red flags and they waved it and they said, come over here, Solar, look, we're trying to pick off your reinforce. And Solar took the bait. Dark, just like a master, he lured him all the way back to Solar's 4th base, around the edge of the map, and suddenly Dark had Lurkers out at home. We were talking Lurkers that were like 6 minutes later than Solar's in that game, and somehow he survived. Just masterful play from a terrible situation from the champ.
Yeah, and he also had less Vipers, but got more done with them than double the Viper count of Solar. It's just absolutely nuts. I don't envy any Zerg that has to face him in future games.
I mean, that was madness. There was like, sometimes, I don't know if there was misclicks going on or Solar was panicking. There was definitely times where you could tell he was abducting Lurkers, and Dark would come in and punish him for it, and he'd kind of grab one Lurker and lose 2 Vipers for it. Definitely Vipers want to target the enemy Vipers as long as you got enough anti-air there to capitalize on it. I mean, some cool moves from Solar. He was dropping Blinding Clouds to block the Hydras from shooting the Vipers, but it just wasn't enough. And at the end of that, Dark does bring it back. He's 1 game away from sealing the deal. It's Simulacrum. It's both a kind of shortish map, but more importantly, just like that last one, spread out bases, really conducive, wide ramps, good for attacks. Big Roach Bane, big Ling Bane attacks, mobility, going to be massive here.
Yeah, and a very standard build from both players here. Not a huge investment into Lings, standard 3rd base timing. I love StarCraft 2. It's my favorite game in the whole world. It's the greatest game that's ever been installed on a PC hard drive in the history of PCs and hard drives. But One of the funniest things in the world to me is Vipers abducting each other and then abducting their own Vipers back to each Vipers. When it gets abduct spam, it's actually so funny. It always makes me chuckle and smile when I see it, even at professional tournaments like this.
I think there was a clip from way back when, from some big Zerg versus Zerg, where both Vipers abducted each other at the exact same time, and they just kind of swapped positions. Yeah. And it was just this weird, the funniest, weirdest looking thing I've ever seen. I remember watching from, I think it was in GSL, and I was just laughing. I was like, wow, that's the first time I've seen them cast at the exact same time and just trade places.
Top kicks. We do have an early swell of Lings here from Dark, similar to how Solo opened his game. He got about like 8 or so Lings just to sort of go out there on the map, cut the drone count a little bit, and have a bit of a poke, at least remain safe.
Yeah, nice quick Evo chamber from Solo once again. Of course, Dark always slower to throw down that tech. Still neither player really opting for Bigling Bane aggression, but this time Dark is going to be the first one to poke across with just about 10 or 12 Zerglings.
Yeah, so not really a scary force at all for Solar, as they both have their Baneling nests at standard times for ZVZ. Big swell of Lings from Solar here, a lot of Lings actually.
Oh, that's good. Keep him safe, but also give him some nice counterattack potential. I'd love to see him go straight across that map.
Oh, +1 melee from Solar. Going to commit quite a bit to Lings here, potentially.
Ooh, I'd like to see a second gas and Mutatech behind that as well.
That's usually what it leads to, but...
maybe not. Like, this is such a small map, right? Roach attacks are so scary.
Like, I have seen some attack timings with just a huge swell of Ling Bane and just trying to end the game early. But there's that lair, so it looks more and more like Spyro.
All right, these Lings still not pushing across yet for Solar, despite building so many of them. And I mean, both players, there's like this weird meta where neither of them really wants to commit to a Ling Bane pressure. Oh, 8 Banelings. Oh my lord. Okay, it's a huge commitment. Solar's going to need to make a lot more Banelings, and he needs to pull every queen to the front right now. This is a huge attack from Dark.
Yeah, massive attack here on 3 hatcheries from Dark. Coming towards the third of Solar, looks to be his target. Losing a few Lings down here to the south, but the main engagement is up here to the north side.
He's only just made 2 Banelings. It's not enough.
Oh, he's got the Banelings here. Solar boxed against the wall in. Dark starting to get back. A massive connection.
Wow. Dark gets the big hit.
No.
Solar did not realize those Banelings were morphing in secret. Only made 2 extra Banelings. And Dark there just smashes him out of that game in that series.
Dark. He's just too damn good. A 3-1 victory there against Solar. Solar managing to get a map on the board there, of course, off the back of an all-in, a bamboozle, Roach Ravager timing with Lings. But Dark, when he just got to get his game plan kicking in, when the Dark engine started to be in full